Hello! Welcome back to our Bible story time. We're glad that you're joining us, aren't we, Lammy? And we're so happy to see you, and we hope you're having a great summer. We've got a very special Bible story today. It's the very first story in the Bible. Some of you may know the story, and some of you may not. Hopefully you know that God created the world. But I don't know if you know that he did it in only 6 days. That's pretty amazing, isn't it, Lammy? God made the world in just 6 days. Wow. Well, he made different things each day, and we're going to talk about that. Our Bible verse for today is the very first verse in the Bible. It's found in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. And it says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." Genesis 1:1. Now that's a longer verse than we've had, but it's not really that many words, and it's pretty easy to learn if you think about in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That means he created everything on the earth and in the heavens. And that's in Genesis 1:1. You could make a poster with this verse on it, but you could also make another one drawing all the things that God created, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. In my Bible story book, it says, "In the beginning, the world was empty. Darkness was everywhere, but God had a plan." So here's a picture of the darkness. So that's what the world looked like. Nothing, just darkness. But so God separated the light from the darkness. That was the first thing he did. He separated the light from the darkness. He called the light day, and he called the darkness night. When he said, "Let there be light," that's when the light came on. He called the light day, the darkness night, and this was the end of the very first day. Then God said, "I will divide the waters." He separated the waters in the clouds above from the waters in the ocean below. Have you ever been to the ocean and seen the line where the sky meets the waves or the sky meets the sea? Well, that's what God did. He divided the waters in the clouds above from the waters in the ocean below. He called the space between them sky. This was the end of the second day. So before this, there was no land or water and sky. It was just all darkness before the first day, and that's when God created the light. Then he created the waters in the clouds above from the waters in the ocean below. Next, God rolled back the waters, and some dry ground appeared. He made plants of many shapes and colors, mountains, hills, and valleys. That was the end of the third day. So when you think about all the trees, the mountains, the hills and valleys, all the plants that we see all the time before the third day of creation, there was none of that. That's what God created on the third day. Plants, flowers, all the beautiful things that we take for granted, that's what God made on the third day. Then on the fourth day, God put the sun shining in the sky for daytime and the moon and twinkling stars in the sky for the nighttime. So, no sun, no moon, no stars before the fourth day of creation. Here's a picture. Imagine what the world was like before all these things. It's hard to imagine that, isn't it? Because we're so used to seeing the sun and the moon and the stars and the trees and the plants. Guess what God made on the fifth day? He made all the creatures that live in the water. And he made the birds that fly in the sky. Here's a picture. The birds in the sky, the fish in the sea were all created on the 5th day. Then on the 6th day, God made all the other animals, all the animals that crawl and hop and gallop, all the land animals. So on the 5th day, God had made all the animals that swim or live in the sea and all the birds that fly. But on the 6th day, God made all the animals that live on the land. And he also made the very first person. And God called that person Adam. You probably know the story of Adam and Eve. And here's Adam with all the animals that live on the land. Or not all, but quite a few of them. So Adam, the first person, by the time he was created, all the animals had been created, all the plants, all the trees, everything that we see. Well, Adam didn't know that they didn't exist before he came along, but they had just been created just the day that he was created and the day before. Just that in that 1 week, God created all the things that we see every day and we don't even think about. So that's pretty amazing, isn't it? So whenever you are looking outside and maybe you're in the car and you're driving down the road and you see all these animals, think about how fast God created those. And it's pretty amazing when we think about it. And it's important for us to remember that on the 7th day, that was the last day of the week, after God had created everything, that he rested. And he did that for an example to us so that we would take some time and rest from our work throughout the week. And so I believe that if God thought it was important for him to rest, when he probably doesn't need it as much as we do because he's God, he's not human, then I think that must be important that he wants us to rest as well, don't you, Lammy? Well, I hope you enjoyed our story. Don't forget about our verse. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Genesis 1:1. As I said in the beginning, you can draw a poster with that verse and draw some pictures of different animals that you like that God created. And don't forget about all the plants and the sun, the moon, the stars, the ocean, and everything else that we see and we take advantage of, we take for granted that we see all the time, the clouds. I like to look at clouds, don't you, Lammy? It's fun to look at clouds, especially whenever we can maybe even sometimes see clouds that look like animals up in the sky. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.